Good morning. So we're now on week 5 of statistics and probability. So our main focus on week 5 is all about sampling and sampling distribution. So our objectives in today's lesson are: first, illustrates random sampling. Second, distinguishes between parameter and statistic. Third, identifies sampling distribution of statistics. Fourth, find the mean and variance of the sampling distribution of the sample mean. And lastly, defines the sampling distribution of the sample mean for normal population when the variance is A, known, and B, unknown. So what is random sampling? So before we unlock this keyword, what random sampling is, let us first unlock some words wherein makakatulong sa pag-define natin ng random sampling. So first is the population. So population is a group of phenomena that has something in common. For example of a good example of population is the students in Pampanga High School. So all of the students in Pampanga High School is an example of population. Next one is sample. Sample is a smaller group of members of population selected to represent a population. So, example of sample is, diba, sabi natin kanina, population is lahat ng students sa PHS. Pwedeng maging sample natin is bawat section, diba? Napakadaming grade level sa PHS, grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, and grade 12. Then, bawat grade level is may section. And example ng sample doon is 11 GASC. Meaning, sa buong population ng PHS, pwedeng maging sample natin is 11 GASC. Yung section na 11 GASC. That is sample. Next one is random. Random is governed by or involving equal chances for each item. So, yung random, meaning nun is, random, sabi dito, involving equal chances for each item. So, example natin kanina is yung buong population ng PHS. Then, may sample tayo. So, na-identify na yung meaning ng sample. Then, ngayon naman yung random. Ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng random? Yung random is yung hindi ikaw yung pumili ng sample na yon. Out of nowhere, siya yung lumabas na parang kapag tinos mo yung die, di ba, hindi mo naman malalaman kung ano yung lilitaw. Di ba, may 1, may 2, may 3, may 4, may 5, may 6. Ganun yung application ng random. Hindi mo alam kung ano yung pipiliin mo or sino yung pipiliin mo sa sample mo. Next one is sampling. Sampling is the action or process of taking samples of something for analysis. Yung sampling naman is yung method of getting a sample. So, tignan natin yung picture dito. Sa right natin. So, sabi dito, random sampling. So, ito yung nagpapakita ng example ng random sampling. So, population. Tignan nyo, may population tayo. Ibig sabihin yung 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Etong 12 na taong to is what we known as the population. Then, tignan nyo, may arrow siya, di ba? May pinili siyang mga tao, and yung mga pinili niyang taong yon is those are samples. Then, dun papasok yung random sampling. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo pinili, what I mean is, bawat tao pala dito is yun yung mga sample, right? Number 1 na tao, sample siya. Number 2, sample. 3, sample, and so on. So, yung mga napili or the chosen ones, ika nga, that is the method of, or that is what we know as random. Out of nowhere, silang napili. So, yung mga sample dito is what we known as random sampling, or yung method ng pagpili sa kanila is the random sampling. So, what is now a random sampling? Random sampling is selecting samples from a population using chance methods or random numbers from the table of random numbers. So, there are many types of or different types of random sampling. So, let's discuss them para malaman natin kung ano ba or mag-dig deeper natin kung ano ba talaga yung meaning ng random sampling. So, the first type of random sampling is what we know as the simple random sampling. So, what is the simple random sampling? So, it is the most common random sampling method. And so, this is the definition of simple random sampling. Every member of the population has an equal chance of being chosen. Let's take a look at this figure. So, for example pala, we have a title of grade 11 students who have an average score of 85 in NCAI in gas strand. So, yung gagawin natin is, kukunin lahat natin yung name ng students na may 85 na average sa gas strand, which is yung gas A, B, C, D, E, F. So, yung title kasi natin is grade 11 students who have an average score of 85 in NCAI in gas strand, specifically in Pampanga High School. So, umiikot yung data natin sa Pampanga High School, right? And sa gas strand. So, yung gas A, B, C, D, E, F, ang gagawin natin is kukunin lahat natin yung students or yung name ng students na may 85 na average and up. And then, pwedeng ilagay natin sa jar. Then, bubunot tayo sa kanila na kung ilan yung kailangan natin data. For example, kailangan natin ng 50 na data. Bubunot tayo sa jar ng 50 samples or 50 students, tapos yung mapipili natin, yun yung yun yung magiging sample natin. And yung method na yun is what we known as simple random sampling. So our next type of random sampling is the systematic random sampling. So what is a systematic random sampling? So dito naman, sabi, every member of the population is listed with a number. But instead of randomly generating numbers, individuals are chosen at regular intervals. So, yung example natin kanina, di ba, is kinuha lahat natin yung may average score na 85, and then the difference from simple random sampling is yung simple random sampling ay ilalagay lahat sa jar, then bubunot, pwede yun, di ba, right? That is simple random sampling. While systematic random sampling naman, yung gagawin dito is, ina-number natin yung bawat students from 1 up to whatever, or kung hanggang ilang sample or data man yung nakuha natin na may average score na 85. For example, there are 500 students who got an average score of 85 and up. So, kukunin na ina-number lahat natin. Tapos, yung gagawin natin is, sabi dito, individuals are chosen at a regular intervals. Pwedeng multiple of 5 yung gamitin nating interval. That is, kung sino man yung pang-5 student na may average score ng 85 and up, yun yung mapipili. Yung pang-10 na student, kasi 10 is a multiple of 5. Or 10 is a factor of 5, di ba? 5 times 2, that is 10. Multiple of 5 is 10. So, yung pang 10 na students, kukunin din natin yon. Pang 15, pang 20, pang 25, pang 30, and so on. Pwede rin naman, so at a regular interval, pwede rin multiple of 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, yung pang 3, pang 6, pang 9, pang 12, mapipili yon. For example, ito namang nasa figure natin, tignan nyo, naka-interval sila. So, yung first, tapos second, third, fourth. So, nagsiskip siya ng 2 individuals in between. Yun yung tinatawag nating regular intervals. Pwede rin nating sabihin na even number or odd numbers. Yun, systematic random sampling yung tawag natin doon. So, the third type of random sampling is what we know as the stratified random sampling. So, what is a stratified random sampling? The population is divided into groups based on a shared characteristic. Each group is called a stratum. Then, one or more choices are made at random from each stratum. For example na lang, yung example natin kanina na may NK scores na 85 and up na gastran sa Pampanga High School, right? So, yung gagawin natin doon, pwedeng i-group natin sila based on their characteristic. Just like, i-group natin sila female and male. Pwedeng i-group natin sila by age. Pwedeng i-group natin sila based on their average. So, kapag na-group na natin sila, for example, pinili natin yung age. Merong grade 11 students na may 85 average and up na naglalaro sa age na, for example, 18, 17, 18, and 19. So, may 3 groups nun tayo. And do sa 3 groups natin na yon, each group, magkakaroon tayo ng random sampling or magkakaroon tayo ng random sampling. Then, yung may age na 17 is what, yung sa group na yon is what we know as the stratum. Then, age na 18, stratum, yung tawag doon. Age na 19 is stratum. Each group is called a stratum. So, ganun lang yung stratified random sampling. I-group mo sila, then mag-random sample ka each group. That is stratified random sampling. So, the fourth type of random sampling is the cluster sampling. So, what is a cluster sampling? The cluster sampling survey chooses clusters at random, then takes samples from them. For example, you are interested in the mathematical ability of grade 7 students in City of San Fernando, Pampanga. So, paano natin i-execute yung cluster sampling doon? Paano natin malalaman, di ba, napaka-broad or napakadami ng grade 7 students para malaman natin sa buong city, para malaman natin kung ano yung pipiliin natin na or kukuhanan natin ng random sampling. So, tignan natin yung figure na to. We have cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, cluster 4, cluster 5. Yung pwedeng maging cluster natin is by school. Right? By school, meron silang mga grade 7. So, let's say for example, cluster 1 is the Pampanga High School. Cluster 2 is the San Nicolas Integrated School. Cluster 3 is pwedeng Sindalan High School. Cluster 4 is the Panlumacan Integrated School, and Cluster 5 is the ICTHS. So, napakadaming school sa City of San Fernando, right? So, hindi lang naman hanggang Cluster 5 yon. May Cluster 6, Cluster 7, and so on. Lahat ng school sa City of San Fernando is i-include mo or gagawan mo ng cluster, and then, after nilang makluster is i-execute mo na yung random sampling doon. Magra-random sample ka kung ano yung mapipiling cluster. For example, dito nag-random sampling ka na. Cluster 1, Cluster 4, and Cluster 5 yung napili, which is the Pampanga High School, the San Jose Panlumacan Integrated School, and the ICTHS. So, yung tatlong cluster na yon is yun yung magiging data mo. So, yung sa Pampanga High School, lahat ng grade 7 doon is kukuhanan mo ng data. Sa San Jose Panlumacan Integrated School, lahat ng grade 7 nila doon is kukuhanan mo ng data as well as din sa ICTHS. So, yun yung cluster sampling. By cluster siya. So, the last type of random sampling is what we know as the multistage random sampling. So, what is a multistage random sampling? Multistage random sampling is a sampling process that uses more than one kind of sampling. So, in other words, multistage random sampling is combination of the first four random sampling type, the first four types of random sampling. Pwedeng nag-simple random sampling ka and then bigla magsa-stratified random sampling ka. Pwedeng dalawa, pwedeng tatlo yung gamitin mo, or pwedeng lahat. Yung combination na yon is what we know as the multiple stage random sampling. So, before we proceed to this activity, let us first generalize what we have discussed. So, there are 5 types of random sampling, which is the simple random sampling, wherein, kukuha ka ng, ilalagay mo lahat ng name sa jar, then, bubunot ka doon. That is simple random sampling. Then, the systematic random sampling, wherein it involves interval. The next one is the stratified random sampling, wherein i-group mo sila based sa characteristics nila, and then, sa by group na yon is pipili ka or magra-random sampling ka. Next is the cluster sampling. I-group mo base sa cluster, then pipili ka ng cluster or yung buo yung yung buong cluster yung magiging sample mo. And lastly is the multistage random sampling, wherein it involves 2 or more different types of random sampling. So, the direction is determine the type of random sampling techniques used in each situation. Number 1, teachers teaching statistics and probability are interested in knowing what study techniques their students are utilizing. So, rather than assessing all students, which is hard, right? The teachers randomly select 10 students from each sections or from each of the sections to compromise their sample. So, what do you think is the type of random sampling technique used in number 1? So, the answer is stratified random sampling. Bakit siya stratified random sampling? So, kung mapapansin nyo, the teachers randomly select 10 students from each of the section. Sabihin, nakagroup sila by section. And by section na yon, pumili siya ng 10 students. That's why it is under stratified random sampling. So, number 2 tayo. The World Health Organization wanted to test the effectivity of the new COVID-19 vaccine. So, 100 countries out of 213 were selected to participate in the test. Then, each country divided the patients according to their age group. From each group, 500 patients were selected. So, yung una, nakita natin, 100 countries out of 200 were selected. So, that is simple random sampling, right? So, meron na siyang isa. But, hindi lang natapos dun yung statement. Sabi pa niya dito, then, each country divided the patients according to their age group. So, kapag na-divide sila by group, that is either cluster sampling, or stratified random sampling. So, from each group, 500 patients were selected. So, that is stratified random sampling. So, dalawa yung ginamit. Simple random sampling and stratified. Therefore, our answer is, yes, it's multi-stage random sampling. So, do you have any questions regarding the 5 types of random sampling? You can comment down on the comment section, or you can directly message me for questions. So, for the evaluation part, you can turn your SciPacs on page 62. So, meron tayong written work doon, and kamukha lang nun na-discuss ko, you determine the type of random sampling used in each situation. There are 5 choices: the simple random sampling, the systematic random sampling, stratified random sampling, cluster random sampling, and multi-stage random sampling. So, determine nyo lang, that is 1 to 5 and 2 points each, a total of 10 points. So, after learning the types of what random sampling is and its type or types, let us now proceed to the difference between parameter and statistic. So, what is the difference between a parameter and a statistic? So, a parameter is a measure or characteristic obtained by using all the data values in the population, while a statistic is a measure of characteristic obtained by using only the data values in a sample. A statistic is an estimate of the parameter. So, ano nga ba yung difference niya? Yung parameter daw, gumagamit siya ng lahat ng data values in the population. While yung statistic, it only uses the data values in a sample. So, yung pinagkaiba niya, parameter is for population, while statistic is for sample. Example nito is yung grade 11 students in Pampanga High School. So, yung population natin doon is lahat ng strand, lahat ng grade 11, right? Kapag ginamitan mo siya ng parameter, lahat yon itetest mo. Or gagawin mong data. While yung statistic naman, sabi dito, data values in a sample only. So, kapag kumuha ka ng mga sample, let's say, 10 students per section, yun yung statistic. Malinaw ba? So, any questions? So, let us first have an activity. Determine whether the numerical value is a parameter or statistic. So, number 1, a researcher wants to estimate the average height of women aged 20 years or older. So, what do you think is number 1? Is it a parameter or statistic? Just remember, parameter is for population while statistic is for sample. So, the correct answer is parameter. Why parameter? Kasi sa parameter, pag may nakita na kayong keyword, mostly makikita nyo yung keyword na average, proportion, pag nakita nyo yung all, yung mga words na yon, parameter na siya. In this case, average. Nakita natin yung word na average, that's why it's parameter. And one more thing, kapag masyado siyang broad, ibig sabihin, parameter din siya. It's a population. Kapag naman specific lang siya, it's a statistic. That's why number 1 is parameter. Kasi masyado rin naman broad to. Estimate average height of women aged 20 years or older. So, ayun. Number 2, in a national survey on substance abuse, 10% of respondents aged 12 to 17 reported using illicit drugs within the past months. So, is it a parameter or statistic? So, the correct answer is statistic. Why statistic? 10% lang. 10% of the respondents aged 12 to 17. Meaning, it's not the whole population, but just part of the population. 10% of the population lang siya. That's why it's statistic. And makikita nyo rin makikita nyo yung keyword dyan is kapag nakita nyo na yung word na sample, random sample, ayan, ano na sila, statistic na siya. So, kung mapapansin nyo yung subject natin, sabi, statistics and probability. So, may word tayo na statistic. Kaya, sa statistic, mostly, yung kinukuha natin is sample lang talaga. Sample of the population. That's why our subject is statistics and probability. So, do you have any questions regarding the difference between a statistic and parameter? You can comment it down on the comment section or you can directly message me. So, let us go to the evaluation part of week 5 on page 63 on your SciPac. So, letter B, you identify if it is parameter or statistic. Kamukha lang nung ginawa nating example kanina. So, 1 to 5 lang siya and 2 points each. Good luck! So, let us now proceed to the next topic, which is sampling distribution of the sample means. So, what is a sampling distribution? Sampling distribution is the probability distribution for the values of the sample statistic obtained when random samples are repeatedly drawn from a population. So, meron tayong formula na gagamitin, which is the formula for combinations in probability, para mahanap natin yung possible number of samples. So, gagamitin natin yung formula ng combination, which is n factorial. So, yung exclamation point po, binabasa po siya as factorial. So, we have n factorial over, open parenthesis, n minus r factorial multiplied by r factorial, where n is greater than or equal to r. So, yung small letter n natin dito pertains to our population, while yung small letter r natin dito, yun po yung sample natin. So, let us have an activity. Determine the number of different samples of the given size small letter n that can be drawn from the given population of size capital letter N. So, sabi ko nga, gagamitan natin ng formula to, which is n factorial all over n minus r factorial multiplied by r factorial. So, sabi ko nga kanina, yung n factorial here or yung small letter n is isa-substitute dun sa population, which is the capital letter N dito, 7. And r here, isa-substitute naman natin dun sa given size, which is 3. So, upon substitution, we have 7 factorial all over 7 minus 3 factorial multiplied by 3 factorial. So, that is 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 factorial. Huminto na sa 3 factorial kasi yung multiplier natin dito is 3 factorial naman. Actually, pwede naman tayong huminto sa 4 factorial para makancel yung 4 factorial dito sa denominator. Pwede rin naman 3 factorial kasi may 3 factorial din naman sa denominator. So kahit alin doon, makukuha pa rin natin yung same result. So we have, that is 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 equivalent to 840, and natira sa denominator natin, since na-cancel yung 3 factorial, is 4 factorial na. And 4 factorial is equivalent to 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And the product is 24. So, 840 over 24 will give us a product of, or quotient of 35. So, our answer is 35. So, you do number 2, which has population of 15 and given size of 5. So, the answer there here there is 3,005, while sa number 3, answer is 230,300. So, solve it, then, if nakuha nyo to, therefore, tama yung ginagawa nyo. If hindi naman, feel free to message me and ask me kung ano ba yung mali sa solution or saang part ba nagkamali. So, any questions on getting the number of sample space? So, if you have questions, pwede kayo mag-comment sa comment box or directly message me. So, yun lang naman. Tandaan lang yung formula for combination in probability, which is n factorial all over the difference of n and r factorial multiplied by r factorial. So let us now proceed on finding the mean, variance, and standard deviation of the sampling distribution of the sample means. So, bago tayo mag-proceed sa pag-compute ng mean, variance, and standard deviation of the sampling distribution of the sample mean, tandaan muna natin or alamin muna natin kung ano yung formula for the mean, variance, and standard deviation. So, yung sa population, the formula for mean is mu is equal to summation of x all over n. While dun sa sampling distribution of the sample mean, formula for mean is mu sub mean is equal to the summation of mean multiplied by p sub mean. While sa variance naman, yung formula for the population is sigma squared is equal to the summation of x squared all over n minus the quantity summation x all over n squared. While sa variance naman sa sample mean, we have sigma sub mean squared is equal to summation of mean squared multiplied by p sub mean minus mu squared sub mean. Okay. And lastly, the standard deviation formula for the population is sigma is equal to the square root of sigma summation x squared all over n minus the quantity summation x all over n squared. While dun sa sampling distribution naman, we have sigma sub mean is equal to the square root of the summation of the product of mean squared and p sub mean minus summation mu squared multiplied by mean. Okay. So, etong formula na to is formula for the mean, variance, and standard deviation of the population. While dito naman sa right, etong mga formula ng mean, variance, and standard deviation, they are for the sampling distribution of the sample mean. Ngayon, yung week 2, kung napansin nyo, meron naman tayong formula dun sa mean, variance, and standard deviation, right? So, halos, kung mapapansin nyo, halos same lang yung formula natin dun sa discrete probability distribution and sampling distribution of the sample mean. Anong bang pinagkaiba nila? Dun sa discrete probability distribution, imbis na mean to, or summation mean multiplied by p sub mean, yung pinagkaiba lang niya is x lang siya, which is the given value. Imbis na given value yung ilalagay natin dito, ilalagay natin is mean. So, yun lang. So, tandaan lang natin yung mga formula. So, let us take a look at this activity. So, suppose a population, so population tayo, consists of a scores of 5 students in a particular quiz as follows. So, we have 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So, a random variable of size n is equal, wherein it is equal to 2, is to be taken from this population. So, first thing we need to do is to complete this table by listing down the sample and the mean. So, ano yung sample ba natin? So, we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, right? And we have a random variable size of 2. So, first samples are 5 and 6. So, list down lang natin. which has a mean of 5.5. So, paano nakuha yung mean na 5.5? Follow lang natin yung formula na sa population wherein mean or mu is equal to the summation of x all over n, wherein x are the samples and n there is the total number of sample. Wherein we have 2, dalawa lang naman yung sample natin, and nakastate dito na random variable of size is also 2. So, 5 plus 6, that is 11, divided by n, which is 2. 11 divided by n is 5.5. Kaya nakuha natin yung 5.5. Number 2 naman, our pangalawang samples are 5 and 7. So, 5 and 7, we have mean of 6.0. Alam naman natin paano nakuha, pag plus lang and divided by 2. 5 plus 7 is 12, divided by 2, that is 6 or 6.0. And then, we have 5.8 with a mean of 6.5 and 5.9 with a mean of 7. Next is, sa 6 naman tayo, mag-distribute. 6 and 5. Diba yung 6 and 5, isusulat pa ba natin? So, hindi na. Kasi yung 6 and 5, pareho lang siya ng 5, 6, which is nakasulat na nung una. So, diretso tayo sa 6 and 7. 6, 7, mean of 6.5. Then, 6, 8, mean of 7. 6, 9, mean of 7.5. Then, sa 7 na tayo. 7.5, meron na tayo, yung 5.7. 7.6, meron na tayo, yung 6.7. So, diretso tayo dito. 7.8, mean of 7.5. So, pares sila ng 6.9. And 7.9, which has a mean of 8. Then, lastly, we have 8, 9. So, mean ng 8.5. So, yung 9, hindi na natin siya nakadistribute naman na dito sa 5.9, 6.9, 7.9, and 8.9. So, yung 8 naman natin pala, we have 5.8 meron na, 6.8 meron na rin, 7.8 meron na rin, and 8.9, kaya 8.9 na lang yun dito. So, ngayon na kumpleto na natin yung table, proceed na tayo sa next. So, sa activity pala na to, kino-construct natin yung sampling distribution of the sample means using the given data. So, nakalimutan ko sabihin kung ano yung ginagawa natin dito. So, kinukuha natin yung sampling distribution of the sample means. So, ito yung data, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And yung random variable size natin is 2. That is taken from this population. So, nakuha na natin yung samples and mean. Ayan, na-list down na natin. Na-list down na rin natin yung mean. So, okay na yung samples and its corresponding means natin. So, punta naman tayo yung dito sa part na to. So, we have to complete this table which has mean, probability, which is P sub mean, and mean multiplied by P sub mean, and mean squared multiplied by P sub mean. So, ano ba yung mga to? So, nasa formula natin yun. Kung babalikan nyo yung formula natin sa sampling distribution of the sample mean, yung x prime multiplied by P sub x prime natin, that is our mean for sampling distribution of the sample mean. While x prime squared multiplied by P sub or P sub x prime, yung formula naman natin dito, yun yung variance, kung titignan nyo. Variance and standard deviation. So, gagamitin natin tong pangatlong column sa mean, and yung pang-apat na column naman, gagamitin naman natin sa variance and standard deviation ng sampling distribution of the sample mean. So, una muna nating i-complete is yung mean. So, we have 5.5, 6.0, 6.5, 7.0, 7.5, 8.0, and 8.5. Saan po galing to? Dito po siya galing, dun sa kinomplete natin na table kanina. So, alam naman natin kung paano nakuha to. I-add lang yung dalawang sample divided by 2 kasi dalawa lang yung kinuhanan natin ng sample. So, that is 5.5. So, may mga umulit ditong mean, like 7.0 and 7.0, pero isusulat lang natin sila as 1. Minsan ng sulat lang. Then, how about the probability? So, di ba, sa nakaraang week, alam naman natin yung probability is only equal to 1, right? Or, that is equivalent to 100%. So, since ilan ba yung mean natin? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, 10 yung mean natin. So, yung gagawin lang natin, kung bilangan natin kung ilang beses siya nag-occur, divided by 10. So, ilang beses yung 5.5? 1. Minsan lang siya. So, 1 divided by 10, that is 0.1. How about 6? Minsan lang din. So, that is 0.1. 6.5. 1 and 2. So, dalawang beses siya. That is 2 divided by 10, which is 0.2. 7. We have 1 and 2. So, dalawang beses, 0.2 then 7.5, we have 1, 2. So, 0.2 then 8, minsan lang, 0.1, and 8.5 is 0.1. So, i-check natin kung equivalent ba siya sa 1. So, i-add lang natin 0.1 plus 0.1 plus 0.2 plus 0.2 plus 0.2 plus 0.1 plus 0.1. That is equal to 1. So, tama naman yung probability natin. So, ngayon, punta na tayo sa mean multiplied by P sub mean. So, paano natin makukuha to? Kunin lang natin tong mean natin dito, yung nahanap natin, and yung probability mean, which is yung na-compute nga natin, i-multiply lang natin sila. 5.5 multiplied by 0.1, that is 0.55. 6.0 multiplied by 0.1, that is 0.60. 6.5 multiplied by 0.2, that is 1.3 or 1.30. 7.0 multiplied by 0.2, that is 1.40. 7.5 multiplied by 0.2, that is 1.5 or 1.50. 8.0 multiplied by 0.1, that is 0.80. 8.5 multiplied by 0.1, that is 0.85. Ngayon, kukunin na natin yung summation niya. So, paano po kunin yung summation? Summation is, i-add mo lang lahat niyan. So, 0.5 plus 0.6 plus 1.3 plus 1.4 plus 1.5 plus 0.8 plus 0.85, that is equal to 7. And, dito na tayo. Para sa standard deviation and variance naman natin. So, paano natin nakuha yung 3.025? So, x squared, yung mean natin, is-square lang natin. That is 5.5 squared. So, our answer is 30.25. Tapos, i-multiply natin yung probability natin, which is 0.1. So, 30.25 multiplied by 0.1, that is equivalent to 3.025. So, ganun lang siya nakuha. Do the same sa natitira. 6.0 squared multiplied by 0.10, that is 3.6. 6.5 squared multiplied by 0.2, that is 8.45. 7.0 squared multiplied by 0.2, that is 9.8. 7.5 multiplied by 0.2, that is 11.25. 8 squared multiplied by 0.1, that is 6.4. 8.5 squared multiplied by 0.1, that is 7.225. So, kunin na natin yung summation since yung formula natin is summation naman. So, add lang natin lahat. 3.025 plus 3.60 plus 8.45 plus 9.8 plus 11.25 plus 6.4 plus 7.225. 225, that is equal to 49.75. So therefore, our mean of the population, which is mu, is equal to 7.0. So, pwede rin i-compute muna natin yung population or mean of the population. 'Di ba may formula tayo na summation x all over n. So, ano yung x natin dito? Ito, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, i-add lang natin 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 all over n. N is the total number or total value. Or ilan sila? Bilangan natin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, kaya divided by 5 siya. So, 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 is 35 all over 5. So, that is equal to 7. How about the sampling distribution of the sample mean, where mu sub mean, ayun, na-compute na natin siya dito sa table. So, ayun nga. Summation, yung formula kasi niya is summation of mean multiplied by p sub mean. Ito na yun. Summation of mean multiplied by p sub mean, that is equal to 7.0. Any questions? So, magagamit din naman natin yung mean squared multiplied by p sub mean or the probability sa variance and standard deviation. But for now, yung mean natin is okay na, which is 7.0. Mean for population is 7, and mean of the sampling distribution of the sample mean, 7 also. So, let us now compute for the standard deviation and variance of the mean of or sampling distribution of the sample mean, since kino-construct lang naman natin dito is the sampling distribution of the sample mean. Kaya yun lang yung kunin natin. So, gamitin natin yung formula, which is for the standard deviation or the variance muna, we have sigma squared sub mean is equal to mean squared multiplied by the probability minus mu squared sub mean. So, meron na tayong mean squared multiplied by probability, right? So, mean squared multiplied by probability, eto yun. So, all we have to do, no need to compute for this, all we have to do is to substitute. So, we have 49.75 minus mu squared sub mean. So, what is our mu? Mu or mean, right? So, this is our mean, which is 7. Na-compute naman natin kanina na 7 siya. And ito yun. Ito yung formula for mean natin sa sampling distribution of the sample mean. So, 7 squared. Since yung formula is mu squared, isa-square natin yung nakuha nating formula, which is 7. 7 squared. So, that is 7 squared is equal to 49, right? So, 49.75 minus 49, that is equal to 0.75. Therefore, our variance is equal to 0.75. How about the standard deviation? So, first is we write the formula. So, this is the formula for standard deviation. Then, you substitute. Substitute lang natin kasi may values na tayo. Yung mean squared multiplied by probability, eto yun. So, we have 49.75 minus mu squared sub mean. Our mu is 7. So, that is 7 squared since naka-square yung mu natin dito. So, that is 49, right? 49.75 minus 49 is equal to 0.75. But, meron siyang square root. Kaya isa-square root pa natin siya. So, what is the square root of 0.75? So, that is equivalent to square root of 3 all over 2 or 0.87. Actually, 0.866 siya eh. So, we round up na lang since 6 yung third digit. sa decimal, we round up, naging 0.87 na siya. So, are there any questions or clarifications about sa pag-compute natin sa mean, variance, and standard deviation ng sampling distribution ng sample mean and population? If not, let's proceed to, or if none, let's proceed to evaluation part of the SIPACS. So, kamukha lang nung ginawa natin to. So, we have evaluation part pala of week 5, which is on page 63. So, sa performance task tayo. So, kamukha lang nung in-example ko kanina, yan no, yung random sample size niya is student consisting of the numbers 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, may rubrics tayo kung paano ko siya ipo-point. So, ayan, complete the table, compute for the mean of population, sampling distribution of the sample mean, variance, standard deviation of the population, and variance, standard deviation of the sampling distribution of the sample mean. So, nabigay naman na yung formula and nakapagbigay ng example. If may questions pa, you can comment down on the comment section or directly message me. So, good luck. So, let us now proceed on the variance and standard deviation of the sampling distribution of the sample means for finite and infinite population. So, before we proceed in computing for the variance and standard deviation of the finite and infinite population, let us first know the formula, or pakitandaan lang, please remember the formula for variance of finite population. So we have sigma sub mean squared is equal to sigma squared all over n multiplied by capital letter N minus n all over capital letter N minus 1. For infinite population naman, yung formula for variance is sigma sub mean squared is equal to sigma squared all over small letter n. So, for standard deviation naman, for finite population, we have sigma sub mean is equal to sigma all over square root of small letter n multiplied by the square root of n minus n all over n minus 1. So, for infinite population naman, we have sigma sub mean is equal to sigma all over square root of n. So, kung mapapansin natin, yung pinagkaiba lang ng finite and infinite population formula for variance and standard deviation is this. Big letter n minus small letter n all over big letter n minus 1. So, yun, etong term na to is what we known as the finite correction factor. Tsaka kung mapapansin nyo, ano ba yung pinagkaiba ng formula ng finite and infinite population? So, etong finite correction factor lang. So, other than that, same naman. So, yung capital letter N natin, that is our population, while small letter n natin, that is our sample. So, let us do activity D. So, let's read the instruction. Find the value of the finite population correction factor given the following. So, yung hinahanap lang natin dito is the finite correction factor. And alam naman natin kung ano yung formula ng finite correction factor. And that is square root of n minus n all over n minus 1. So, na-highlight naman na kanina. So, all we have to do is to substitute lang. So, we have 40 minus 2 all over 40 minus 1. 40 minus 2 is 38 all over 39. So, square root of 38 over 39 is equal to 0.99. So, yun na yung sagot natin. Second, substitute ulit, we have square root of 80 minus 25 all over 80 minus 1. So, 80 minus 25 is 55 all over 79. So, square root of 55 all over 79 is equal to 0.83. While yung last naman, substitute lang ulit, ganun lang kasimple, square root of 150 minus 20 all over 150 minus 1. So, 150 minus 20, that is 130 all over 149. And square root of that is 0.93. So, ganun lang kasimpleng hanapin yung finite correction factor. Just use this formula. So, are there any questions sa pagkuha ng finite correction factor? If none, let us proceed. So, let us proceed to the evaluation part of week 5 on page 63 of your SIPAC. So, letter D. So, we find the value of the finite population correction factor given the following. So, kamukha lang nung pinakita ko kaninang example, we have population, the given population and given sample. All you have to do is to substitute it to the formula. So, good luck. So, that's it. That is the end of week 5 and congratulations on finishing weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5. Thank you.